So if you're like me, you've been plagued with this question. Why does a good God allow evil to take place? It's a challenging question. It's a very sensitive question that we have to navigate with love, with consideration. And in this video, I want to just barely scratch the surface regarding this answer of why God, a good God, allows evil. I think when we ask that question, we're asking a deeper question. We know what evil is, right? It's wickedness, and it's also often marked by the deeds that are labeled wicked or labeled evil. By our question of why does God allow evil, what we're really asking is, why does God allow people to do evil? And even deeper than that, what we're really saying to God is, God, if you know it's evil, why do you let it happen? Why don't you just stop it from happening? For us to ask God to stop evil from happening, what we're asking God to do is to contradict one of his fundamental gifts to mankind, one of the fundamental makeups of mankind. That's free will. If God prevents us from having free will, then we are prevented from truly loving God, from truly choosing God. And if we can't truly choose God, then we can't really love him. And the Lord created us to have a loving relationship with us. So the better question that we need to ask, and it's a question that we may not want to ask ourselves, is why do we allow evil? The Lord is very clear in his word of how we are supposed to interact with one another. He's called us to love. He's called us to kindness. He's called us to gentleness, to peace, to humility, to all of these things. They are explicit in the word. They are riddled throughout the scriptures of how we are to treat one another. People often give God a bad rap for the Mosaic law. Like, there's so many laws. But if you read those laws, all those laws are for is considering other people, right? And we have to understand that in order for us to do that, in order for us to prevent this evil that we often see in this world, we have to ask ourselves, are we loving? Are we being gentle? Because oftentimes the evil that takes place is because people have abandoned God's call to do all those things. So the question becomes, why do we allow it? Why does that evil person do what they do? And the simple answer to that is they've allowed themselves to be influenced by the enemy. They've allowed themselves to be led by the flesh, to be led by their own passions and pursuits, to be influenced by their jealousy and their anger and their rage, all those things that the Lord has told us not to, man. So evil, while it is a terrible thing, while it is a painful thing, it happens because God has given us free will. And we are the ones who've chosen poorly. God has established an ecosystem, a kingdom of how we are to treat each other, but we abandoned that. I often ask myself, man, why do like little babies get diseases, and why do little kids have cancer? Those things, man, and those things rock me. They keep me up. They keep me thinking at times, man. And I think we just live in this fallen flesh. We live in this fallen flesh. We live in a world full of diseases. It's just a result of our fallen nature. It's the result of sin entering into the world. But when I think about those kids, the parents miss them. The parents are devastated for sure to watch their child go through what they go through and be helpless, to not be able to protect and guide them. Oh my gosh, I can only imagine. My daughter had RSV when she was 6 months old, and they had her on all the machines. We were so helpless. We were like, oh my gosh, like, what are we going to do? And I can only imagine what that must mean for a parent. Right, no relief in sight, and the end is death for that child. Parent misses them. The devastated. But here's one thing that I am sure of. Those children of the Lord, they are living. They are not missing this earth one bit. So while we get upset with God for allowing those things, think about that. These kids only had 8 years on this ghetto behind earth, and they're with God in heaven, enjoying the fullness of his presence. So we have to, even though it's challenging, even though we'll miss him, even though we experience the heartache, we have to understand that they are in the arms of the Father, right? And they are no longer bound to this world and the pain this world causes just by us being here. So to you who are angry at God right now for allowing something terrible to happen in your life, or allowing a loss of a child so young, I want to encourage you with this, that God is outside of time. He sees the beginning from the end. And because he sees the beginning from the end, because he sees the end result of that tragedy, the end result of that trauma, the end result of the disappointment, he can tell us in Romans 8:28 that all things work for the good of those who are called according to his purpose. So I want to encourage you who's going through it right now, that there is good that will come from this. I know you can't see it right now. And even if you can't see, I totally understand. I'm not trying to Christianize you out of what you're feeling. But what I'm trying to say is the Lord who's outside of time, he knows. He knows. So as God gives you the grace to, I pray that you will endure what you are going through, that you'd have hope, that as you look back, that you will see that the Lord intended it for good. He didn't want it to happen. The evil that happens is not something God finds any pleasure in. It ought not to happen. But the Lord in his sovereignty will take what ought not to have happened and turn it into something that's good, to where you can look back and say, yes, there was tremendous pain in there, but God, being the restorer and being the redeemer that he is, has turned it for good. I also want to encourage the person right now who's going through it, that God is not threatened by how you feel. He is not threatened by your honest prayers, even if those prayers are filled with anger and disappointment and sadness and questioning of God. He's not threatened by that. And he'd rather you go to him with all of that than run away from him and find solutions that aren't really solutions. So yeah, man, I think I'll leave it there. But yeah, I just want to encourage you, man, the evil that takes place, it's because we've dropped the ball. We're the ones who've dropped the ball. God has outlined how we ought to act, and he invites us to use our free will to be led by the Spirit, not by the flesh. We choose poorly. And for those children who pass away at very young ages, they are with the Lord and they are so happy. They are so happy. And as parents, right? What else do we want for our kids? For them to be happy and healthy. And they are happy and healthy in the hands of the Lord, man. So just be encouraged with that. Hopefully that encouraged you this morning, this afternoon. Let me know in the comments how I can be praying for you. If you need to just vent in the comments, do that. I can offer you some just some prayer and perspective if you're open to it. But yeah, man, just want to encourage you guys with that. All right, I love y'all, and remember, every single thing that you do, even in your mourning and even in your wrestling with the Lord, do it all for the glory of God. Lay out, man. Peace.